Okay, look, Pokemon Go is a video game, and video games, they don't usually have rules. Obviously, there's rules that the game developers set, what you can do, what you can't do, what features you can interact with. But I still do think Pokemon Go being a social game, and honestly, I guess you could say any video game you play being a social game, there are still rules that you would hope people oblige by to have respect for the other trainers and just make everybody's overall experience better. Now, by no means are these rules enforced. By no means are these rules, you break them and you're banned. But I still think it's important as a Pokemon Go player to know some things that you should do just out of respect for other trainers, or I guess you could even say respect of yourself. And that is today what we're talking about. So welcome back to another YAP session. I don't know why I'm walking back and forth, kind of like pacing around right now, but we are back. If you don't know this series, it's the Pokédoxy podcast pretty much, where we choose a topic and we yap about it for, however much time we want to yap about it. Today we are here at, I think this is called Carlton Park. This right behind me, which I don't know if you can see, I guess I'll zoom out. This mountain here is Dulude Hill, where I used to do a lot of hill training running up, and there's a dome here. So again, another little local spot. I like taking you guys to like little local spots where I grew up and did a lot of stuff. I'm standing on a baseball diamond right now. I feel kind of bad because they groomed it from what it seems like, and I'm standing near the base, and I guess I'm trying not to move too much, but I never played baseball here, though. I was never a big baseball kid. If you're a baseball kid, let me know, but I will say, actually, complete random side note, me and my friends were talking about this, like, what is the most boring sport to watch? And no offense, but I feel like baseball and American football have to be up there. They can be entertaining, but compared to sports like basketball, hockey, I would say even soccer has more action than that. This can be a whole other YAP session. I can get into my opinions about the most entertaining sports to watch, but no offense, in my opinion, baseball, pretty boring to watch. Don't get me wrong, can still be exciting, a lot of exciting moments, but overall, as a sport, there's not much going on. Anyway, that is not the topic. If you want, I'm sure I've already put it on screen, but skip to this timestamp here if you want to jump right into what we're talking about today. But give a little update on myself. It's actually officially Wednesday, May 21st. In 5 days, I leave to Japan for GoFest. So yes, GoFest Japan is next week. Next Thursday in Osaka is technically the first day of GoFest Japan because they're doing the Thursday add-ons. If you're actually going to any of the in-person GoFest this year, they're adding a Thursday citywide gameplay add-on to all of them. So you can actually get 4 days of in-person GoFest at all the GoFests, which is pretty exciting. It's going to be a lot of GoFest. But anyway, Thursday, so in less than a week, we're going to get the release of Crown Zacian, Crown Zamazenta, technically in Pokemon Go, and a couple other features. Oh my God, there's some runners doing some running. So I'm excited for that. Stay tuned. Plenty of GoFest content, just finalizing our content plan for that. So I'm really excited. I have some really unique ideas, I like to think, this GoFest season that I don't think anyone's really ever done. And hopefully we'll make for some good content. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Excited to show that off for you guys. Excited to go to Japan again as well, see all the creators. Gonna hopefully this year be able to interview Mystic 7. I'm trying to set that up for you guys because I know a lot of people like the interview series. Gonna see if I can also interview some other creators, which people have been wanting me to sit down with and hop on a podcast. Technically a different podcast, but you've seen me interview Brandon Ton and Zoe, and hopefully we can build that roster. So that's really exciting. Other than that, no, GoFest season is coming up, just kind of recovering, getting in gear. If you are in Ottawa, by the way, this weekend, I was able to snag a bib for the half marathon. So look out for Pokédoxy, goes by the name of Dax Brule. I'm gonna be running the half marathon this weekend, which is exciting. If you don't know, I'm actually doing the Ironman in Muskoka in July. So, or half Ironman, not full Ironman. So yeah, I'm trying out the triathlon thing. I actually did run my first, I know this has nothing to do with the video, but I'm just gonna get this out of the way before we get into the content. I'm sure people who have skipped to the content have already skipped. I actually did my first triathlon this weekend at Carleton University, which is a university in Ottawa. And you swim in the pool, which is cool. But then I accidentally cheated. Pokédoxy accidentally cheated on the bike because I didn't know you were supposed to do 2 laps of the course. I don't think they took my time or anything like that. I mean, I didn't get a medal or anything, but I accidentally only did half of the bike I was supposed to do in my triathlon. I did all the swim and all the run, but I did half the bike. So I feel bad about that, but anyway, lessons are learned. Okay, anyway, today we're gonna get into the unwritten rules of Pokemon Go. We're gonna start off first with the gymming rules and rules that you should follow if you are going to interact with the gymming system in Pokemon Go. So let me go find a spot and let's get into it. Okay, I found this here, which is a stump, which I feel like is going to be pretty uncomfortable to sit on. Actually, you know what? That's not bad. I just hope the mic. Anyway, oh my God. Okay, this is awkward. I'm gonna cross leg. Okay. Hopefully I don't look too, this is actually a good meditating spot. Anyway, okay, we're gonna get into it. I've made a long list of all of the unwritten rules that I think could apply, and I'm gonna let you know if I agree with them or if I don't agree with them, and I guess what situations I agree with them versus don't agree with them. I'm also, because of last week's YAP session, if you watched, I'm just gonna double check that I'm filming because last week I didn't film. Okay, let's get into it. Gymming rules, unwritten rules. Number 1, don't knock somebody out of a gym right after they've placed into the gym. Wait at least 30 minutes to a few hours. Now, I do think this rule has a little bit of, I guess you could say, nuance to it. Is it always accurate? Probably not, but is it accurate? Sometimes, yes. Let me explain. If you are in a city, or let's say a gym in a busy city, those cities are the Wild West. You look at Japan. You look at, I think of this. I think of like the gym that represents the Eiffel Tower. I think about the gym that represents the Burj Khalifa. Actually, I don't know if they have a gym, but anyway, huge monuments in Pokemon Go, huge busy cities like Tokyo. It's kind of the Wild West out there where I don't really think there are any unwritten rules you can kind of follow, in which if you drop into a gym, somebody could be knocking you out of the gym 5 minutes later. And I don't think there's much you can do about this. But I do think that you can follow this rule in a more localized, in a more rural area. Because at the end of the day, somebody dropping their Pokemon into the gym, they don't really get much value out of it if they only stay in there for you know, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's not really much value out of it. The second thing about this as well is knocking somebody out of a gym directly right after they drop in. There's a high probability that they are in the area, and then they're going to come back and knock you out of the gym, and there's going to be a cycle back and forth where both players are just getting like no value out of being in that gym. Now, I do want to preface this with the fact that, yes, okay, this is a video game, so you are by no means required to not knock people out of gyms, and you can do that whenever you want. That is literally the core of the gym mechanic. However, I do think having a little more strategy involved and more thoughtfulness involved, in which if somebody just drops into a gym, they're kind of probably near that gym, they haven't collected any Pokecoins from that gym, waiting a few hours, coming back, and then knocking them out will help that trainer out. They might be more comfortable, they might be more like happy. Well, I guess they would never know whether you could have knocked them out earlier or not, but they're gonna get their coins, and then you can drop in, and then hopefully they'll respect that, and they'll only come and knock you out of the gym at a later point. Now again, I do think there's a lot of situations where it's the wild, wild west, and you know, not everyone's gonna get the memo in terms of gymming, but I think gymming is just one of those systems that puts trainers against each other. But really, if we work together to make sure everybody gets their coins, there's just a lot of value. And I think by letting people stay in gyms a little bit longer, things could be better. You can actually, if you don't know, come to, actually, I don't even know how to screen record. My phone just got an update, so I need to figure out, okay, here we go, how it works. But anyway, here I'm at a gym. This is the gym at the Carlington Baseball Diamond. A couple yellow players, but you can click on and you can see how long they've been in the gyms. You can actually technically take this in the opposite direction and say, like, if somebody has been in a gym for a while, consider knocking them out. Look, at the end of the day, most people are just going to go ahead. Actually, I guess one thing to also consider is that people will have been in gyms potentially for a different amount of time. But anyway, point is, consider how long people have been in gyms maybe when you're taking on gyms. But this by no means, I would say, my overall opinion with this one is I don't think this is one that you have to strictly follow, and that is like a clear unwritten rule of and sign of disrespect if you don't do it. At the end of the day, I think gymming is a PvP focused system, so if you're using it to that method, that's fine, but just know that you could be, I guess, using it or strategizing it more effectively so everybody gets what they want. Now, golden raspberries are also a feature in the gymming, and one of the takes here, one of the rules is don't golden raspberry endlessly unless you're doing it once or twice to hold off snipers. Look, this is always an interesting thing because people do get, I guess, upset that like when you gold it, this is how I see it, but like golden raspberries, using golden raspberries on your Pokemon, you can be limited on how many you use on a Pokemon, but if somebody's trying to attack your gym and take it out and you golden razz your Pokemon, you're pretty much telling that person that you're gonna have to spend a lot of time to knock me out of the gym. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I think that is just playing good defense. Actually, now that I think about it, like, I don't even know if this is really an unwritten rule in my opinion. I think golden razzing Pokemon is completely fine. I guess it also depends like more on what we're looking at. Like, I guess what we could say, the unwritten rule here is don't golden razz your Pokemon if you've been in that gym long enough to get your Pokecoins. I think that's the better way to put it. Like, let's say somebody's trying to knock you out of the gym. You've been in gym for, I believe it's like 8 hours to get all 50 coins for the day. Somebody's knocking you out and you're golden razzing them because let's say you just want to like get that gym gold or you want to, you might have your reasons, whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you have your reasons on why you do it, but I do think it's like a little bit of a like, bro, you've gotten your coins, get your coins, let this guy come in, get his coins. And I especially think this rule, I guess, could apply in a more localized system, a more rural system where there's just less people playing, less activity. I do think in like, again, going back to the Wild Wild West, going back to like downtown Tokyo, going down to like downtown Paris, like super, super busy Pokemon Go cities, New York, LA. I guess LA is really, really spread out, but like I do think there, like golden razz rules don't exist at all. Like you can just do whatever you want, but I would say, yeah, in a local area, golden razzing your Pokemon after you've been in gyms for long enough to get your coins is a little bit, I don't want to say greedy, but like, look, you can, again, take it with a caveat. It's a game. It's part of the system. And I don't think you should really feel any guilt for just like defending your Pokemon in a gym. But I guess it's like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to be annoying or are you doing it because you want that gym gold? If you want that gym gold, that's fine. You have a goal, it's PvP. But if you're just trying to be annoying golden razzing Pokemon because you're like, I just want to be in this gym to be in this gym, I guess is like a little bit of a disrespect towards the player who just wants to get his coins, And look, maybe the player needs to put in a little effort to get the coins, but I guess that's just my take on that. Let me know in the comments, by the way, what your takes on any of these rules are and if you agree with them or not. Finally, gymming rules. If you're traveling and see locals controlling a gym, consider leaving it and using another one. Now, this is one of the takes that I don't agree with at all. And I've heard horror stories about people claiming gyms as their own, okay? I've heard stories, I think somebody told me about this story back in Ottawa, and I think it was near Center Point, but there was a couple gyms that there's a group of trainers, maybe it was 1 or 2 or 3 people, would control all day, every day, 24/7. And if anybody ever even came close to the gym, they would like chase these people off IRL and say, no, that's my gym, or yell from their balcony, hey, that's my gym, get out. I don't agree with this at all. I do not think this is a thing you should be doing. I think you should be, whether you're traveling, coming to a new area, all that stuff, like you're allowed to come in and take a gym whenever you want to take a gym. I guess this goes back to the rule again, like we're kind of contradicting the first point where like don't knock someone out of a gym if they've just dropped in. But I guess not really, because again, these local players, these people who claim these gyms as their own and say, I'm the only person allowed to own this gym, like I do not think that is a good way to look at it because these people are always in the gym. So why am I not allowed to have a turn in it? I'm speaking like a toddler. Why am I not allowed to have a turn in it? Anyway, I just don't think anyone owns any gyms. Gyms are not to be owned. You're allowed to, whenever you're traveling, wherever you go, you're allowed to battle gym at any point. Even like my home gym. If people come and take it out, I will not knock them out of the gym right away. Sometimes if I'm bored, I'm like, let me just get my battle medal up, I'll do it. But like, I've allowed many people, a gym that I live at, a gym that I am at all the time, whenever I'm editing or doing whatever, planning videos, I've allowed other people to be in there and be in there for a while too. Like I've allowed that gym to be blue way longer than I would want to. But I think, again, nobody owns any gyms. That is an unwritten rule. You do not own gyms. And if you think you own a gym and it is your gym and you're the only person allowed to be in it, That is just delusion. So overall, those are the 3 gymming rules, and those are my takes on them. But we also have more rules, and specifically rules around rating. And this is where I think the unwritten rules get interesting. And if you don't know some of these unwritten rules, there are a couple here that I think everybody needs to know. Okay, let me go find a new spot. Let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about rating rules. And this is where I think the unwritten rules most apply. I hope you guys can see me, kind of. I'm here now at another baseball diamond. There's actually 3 baseball diamonds right here. I guess this is a big baseball place. I guess this is why I didn't come here as much as a child, because I never really huge into baseball. Anyway, rating rules. Number 1, the unwritten rule of rating is don't back out of a raid lobby at the last second. It ruins it for others. This, I wholeheartedly, fully agree with this rule. Now, if you don't know why this is a rule, back in the day actually, when you entered a raid lobby, your pass would be used. And they changed this, I think it was around 2020 maybe. They changed this so when you entered a raid lobby, your pass wasn't used. It was only used once the raid started. Now, obviously, why does it matter if your pass is used? Well, you only get 1 pass every single day for free. People who don't spend money on the game, they want to use this pass to the most amount of their ability, because it's like you can get technically 1 free legendary every single day by using your free daily pass. But what you found is a lot of people joining raid lobbies and getting, like, let's say 2, 3 people, maybe 4 people in the raid, and the timer would count down. Now, people would wait in that lobby because they would think, oh, more people are going to join, or I sent invitations, maybe people will join. But then, when the last second hits, let's say it's counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they're like, oh wait, we don't have enough people to take this on. Let me back out, not use my pass, save it, and then use it on a raid that I know we can complete. And this was a cycle that kept happening. And I still see this to this day. People will join raid lobbies and they'll back out at the last second. I think the unwritten rule here in this situation, and what I always try to follow, is back out at 20 seconds minimum if you're planning on not staying in that raid. The reason why is, if you don't know, the last 10 seconds of a raid lobby, I believe, the lobby's closed. I believe the last 10 seconds before a raid starts, nobody can enter that raid and join. And then I also believe, quote me if I'm wrong, it's around these numbers, but I think the last 20 seconds, no one can join via invitations. It might be the other way around. It might be that the last 10 seconds, nobody can longer join via invitations, but people in person can join up until 0 seconds. But I do believe the last second, there's some sort of closing. So the fact is that the last 20 seconds of a raid lobby, there's nobody else is going to join. So if you think there's enough people, decide you're going to stay in. If you're going to leave at 20 seconds. This will give people ample time to then make the decision from themselves and leave. All of these unwritten rules, or this unwritten rule, can rarely be fixed by just proper communication. But if you can't communicate with the other people in a raid, again, just do not back out at the last second. That is just a complete disrespectful thing to do, because again, people are going into that raid and then they're going to have used their pass, and you're going to have left, so they're going to be doing less damage, and they might not even take down the raid boss, when you guys could have just maybe all decided to back out together at 20 seconds, rethought of a plan, invited a couple more people, and took on the raid. So that is an unwritten rule of Pokemon Go. If you don't know that rule, it's just completely, just please follow that when you're doing it. Next up, ready up right away in big groups. Now, this is a new rule that I think have come to Pokemon Go, but with the ready up button being added, I found a lot of people would just not ready up when you have enough people to take on the raid. Let's say there's like a lobby of 8 people. There's not really a lot of raid bosses that 8 people is not enough to take on. Like, I guess like Primal Kyogre would be one of them, but like most raid bosses, you can go ahead and take on with 8 people. But people wouldn't ready up. Now, there's a couple reasons on why. Number 1, people are just not looking at their phone, especially when remote raids become unlimited, or people are just like chatting away at a local meetup. Like, they're not checking their phones, they're not readying up. Number 2, you could still be waiting on people. People will invite people to raids, and they'll be like, you know, they have already talked to them. Like, I've messaged my friend Jimmy and said, yo, I'm sending you an invite in 5 minutes. You send your invite to Jimmy. Maybe Jimmy's gone off his phone, but you're like expecting Jimmy to join, but Jimmy's never gonna join because you didn't check your phone. So you're gonna wait out that whole raid lobby timer. Another reason on why people don't ready up is if their game crashed. We learned this one really, really quickly with Gigantamax, Toxtricity, where we had 3 cars driving around trying to do 100 Gigantamax Toxtricity battles, and sometimes people wouldn't ready up. And it was like, the thing is, like, we knew no one was not readying up because we knew who was with us, we knew how many people were in the lobby, we knew, like, everybody knew, like, once they saw the number, I think it was like 30 or 29 or like 39 people in the lobby, we knew that everybody who was with us was in the lobby, so everybody should ready up. But some people weren't, and the reason is, if you're in a raid and your game crashes while you're in the raid lobby, the game will think you're in the raid lobby, but you won't be able to ready up because you can't actually press the ready up button because your game crashed. So it's kind of a weird little thing, but overall, ready up right away in big groups. Now, is this an unwritten rule or not, in my opinion? I actually would say it isn't. I think it is a nice thing to do, but I do not think it is like a necessary one, especially if you have a reason on why. Let me explain. If you've invited people to a raid, once you ready up and the raid starts, actually, I'm not 100% sure the mechanics of it, but I do believe once you ready up in the raid, and once you've readied up, if you've sent invitations, those invitations will get canceled because you readied up. Maybe I'm actually, I honestly, don't quote me here. I don't want to speak out of my mind because I'm not sure. I have to search that up. But this is what I'm going to say. If you've invited people to a raid, you might be waiting on them to join. So it makes sense on why you wouldn't ready up, even if you have enough people. I think I guess the situation where readying up when you're, readying up when you're in a big group of people, when you should do it is when you're not inviting anybody, you're in the lobby and you're ready to go. If you're an invited to the raid, you're good to go, you're ready, then ready up. But then I think it should be left up to the group leader, the person who's sent all the invites to that raid, to be the final person who readies up when they're ready to go. So I guess that's the best way to write the unwritten rule. If you're invited into a raid, ready up right away. That's what I would say. Unless there's not enough people. That's when a situation where I would say don't ready up right away. Because yeah, if there's not enough people, there's no point in readying up. But if you think there's enough people and you've been invited, ready up. In person, I think it's a little bit different. In person, I think it's up to one community, I guess, or raid hoster to tell everybody who's in person to ready up when they have enough people. But yeah, I don't know. That one is kind of, let me know your opinions on that rule. But I do think it is a little bit of a weird, I guess you could say, situation. Number 2, don't invite people, then instant start, give them time to join. Or number 3, I guess. So yeah, don't invite people and then instantly ready up for the raid, give them time to join. I guess this goes back into like what we just mentioned, readying up right away. Like giving people time to join, I think is a very respectable thing. I guess that is actually, I would fully agree with this unwritten rule. Like, don't be that person who just invites a bunch of people and then readies up. Like, if you're gonna send invites to people, give them ample time to join, which I guess is a completely different rule, but invite people as early as you can in the raid. Don't invite them at 30 seconds. I guess you could invite them at 30 seconds. Like, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, I would make sure that, like, if you are inviting people, not just starting the raid because they didn't show up right away, I think is a very respectable thing. Like, I think the second you've sent out a batch of invites, you shouldn't be waiting until you have enough people to do the raid. You should be waiting until until everybody who's joined has joined, or everybody who you think has joined, and then ready up to start the raid. But you know what, like, I don't know. I don't want to say it as an obsolete. I don't think saying any of these things is obsolete is a good idea, because, like, there are different situations where, like, I don't know, there's a bunch of people who are locally there at the raid, and then you invite people in, and then the local people are ready to go, and you have enough people, but your invites, it's been 60 seconds and they haven't joined. I don't know then. I don't know about that one. I would say don't invite people and then instant start is a respectable thing, but I think you can start the raid after you've waited at least 60 seconds. That's what I would say would be the unwritten rule here. Next up, use proper counters above level 30. Don't show up with Blissey Aggron Squad. Now, I think this is, in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated, underutilized rules that I do believe should be respected. This is a complete unwritten rule that I don't see anybody respecting, but I think should be more represented. If you are above level 30, or let's say 35, or we can even throw it up to 40, and you join a raid, you should at least have proper counters for that raid. I completely understand. If you're under level 30, let's say 40. You're under level 40, you're newer to the game, you don't have as much Stardust, Candy, XP, resources, you're not as much of a veteran player. Sure, you can freeload on a raid, you can come in, you can use Blissey, you can use Chansey, Aggron, whatever Pokemon you have. Hitch a ride on the raid, get your legendary, get your stuff up. But if you are level 40, and this even goes for Dynamax, I would say, like not even just raids, but like Dynamax as well, like if you are level 40, at least have the proper counter Pokemon. Use the correct typings. Use the correct typings. And I understand there's a lot of people who don't understand this and all that stuff, and it is a complicated system, especially for people who have never played Pokemon, like trying to figure out what is good and what is bad, and especially if you've never used like technology. Like my mom is always asking me, what is super effective against fire, all that stuff. But I do think as a level 40 player, it is your duty, it is your role to contribute, especially if you've been the freeloader. If you've been that guy who's been in the raid doing no damage at all and not really helping people at all, I do think that if you've been in that situation and you've had your freeloader time, it is time to give back. It is time to do your part and do your damage. Because I've seen trainers, and look, I'm not too butthurt about it. I don't care too much, but I do think it's just a thing that should be more normalized, that if you are a higher level trainer, you shouldn't just be able to just hop in and use whatever. You should be doing super effective damage. And look, the Pokemon doesn't need to be level 50. It doesn't need to be level 40 even. Like a level 30 super effective damage Pokemon is fine. But I do think like just not knowing how to do super effective damage and not contributing your part as a higher level trainer, I think should be an unwritten rule, and I think generally people should do it. Now, again, I don't want to say things as absolutes because I understand there are situations where, let's say you just don't have the Pokemon, or you're a collector, or you're a shiny hunter, so you don't really power Pokemon up, and that's just not how you play, and that's not what you enjoy. Like, again, I don't want to say it as an absolute, but overall, I just think that I hope that people start to respect this rule, because I don't want to say it's like a respect thing, but like, again, if you're going to be a freeloader forever, like at some point you need to be doing your damage. You can't just be joining a raid and doing literally 0 damage and getting all the same rewards as everybody else, especially if you've been playing Pokemon Go a long time. I think if you're a new player, or even like a player who's under level 40, it's fine, but at least have a couple Pokemon that do super effective damage. That's my take on that one. Okay, the final one for rating rules here is let people finish their catches before moving on during a grind session. Now, this is a very interesting one. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have been there, but you're grinding, you're playing Pokemon Go, you're catching, you're doing a raid hour, and there's a couple slow catchers in the group. People who take a little bit of time to catch. The Pokemon is just being a little bit annoying and frisky, and maybe that's you. Now, this is how I'm gonna say this. I do not think this is an unwritten rule. Or no, I do think this is an unwritten rule. Sorry, I almost said it wrong. You should wait for if you have decided to join a local meetup as a group to raid and grind, and the expectations have been set that it's a community ambassador meetup, it's for everybody of any level, by joining that meetup, by accepting those terms and conditions, you accept that you should be waiting for everybody. Pokemon Go is a game of inclusivity. We should allow to be inclusive to everybody of every age, of every skill level, and if it's catching a Pokemon, if they can only catch Pokemon while they're standing there, that's fine. And we shouldn't be putting pressure on people to catch faster to keep up with the group. At the end of the day, I do believe in a community ambassador meetup. Obviously, they're going to be hosted differently, but during meetups, the slowest person is what everybody is keeping up with. Like, what is it, the weakest link? I don't want to say weakest, but like whoever is taking the longest to join or do all the stuff, like that is the pace you're going to go at. You're going to go at the pace of the slowest person because we want everybody to be accepted. How I think this could be resolved more, I guess you could say, because I do think this is an unwritten rule. It's just a respect thing. Like, we don't want to be like, people are coming to these meetups. We don't want to be like, especially new players, and being like, oh my God, you're not going fast enough. You're not doing good enough. Come on, catch faster. Do all this stuff faster. The way you can avoid this is, number one, I think, first of all, teaching that trainer how to catch faster, giving them, being a source of support to them, showing them the circle lock technique, showing them golden raspberries if they don't know about them, ultra balls or whatever. Being a source of education. But number two is setting expectations. I think the reason that people get frustrated when people are catching slowly during a raid hour and not ready to to hop into the next one, is expectations. And when you go to a Community Master meetup, the expectation is that it's for everybody. It's going to be slow. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be about mingling. It's not going to be about grind, efficient, as quick as possible. You know what I mean? So I think it's all about expectations. If you're more looking to catch Pokemon as legendaries as quick as possible, try to do, let's say, 20 raids in a raid hour. That would be like, what, a raid every 3 minutes? Like, if you're trying to hit those numbers and be a hardcore trainer, you need to find people and set the expectations and make your own group. And this is a problem we have in Ottawa. I think this is a problem in almost any community ambassador group where you have the hardcore players and you have the casuals. The casuals are there to have fun, catch a couple legendaries, use their free passes. And you have the hardcore players who are there to just maximize on the event, get the most candy, Stardust, whatever, get the most legendaries, try to get the hundo, as many shinies as they can. And the problem comes in with expectations when the hardcore players are joining the local meetups with the casual players and they're getting frustrated because it's not fast enough. So if you're a hardcore player, if this sounds like you and you get frustrated that people are not catching quick enough or the raid thing is not going quick enough, find another group. Find a group of people who are like you, who are interested in grinding as quick and efficiently as possible. Play with them. You're going to have a much better time because you guys won't have to wait on anybody and you guys can move on. There's been sometimes expectations that have been set in these groups as well of like, we want to do so many raids that we're not even going to catch the legendary Pokemon, which is completely fine, but you have to set that expectation. You have to find people who are willing to, I guess, oblige by those expectations and keep up with your group. So that's anyway my take on it. I do quickly want to also mention here, while I have your attention, of a cool opportunity you guys can join into. We are going to be going to Japan on a group trip, Pokédaxi group trip, where everybody is going to be in Japan together. 24 trainers, plus me and Pokemama, 26 trainers in Osaka, Japan, and Kyoto in November on the Pokédaxi group trip. This group trip, we did it back in March. It was an absolute blast. If you're interested and you've ever wanted to go to Japan, you're a little scared to go to Japan, well, this trip I think is a perfect opportunity because people can come and you're going to be traveling with other like-minded Pokemon Go trainers. You can add them. We usually do this, but you add them beforehand. You can make lucky friends with them, and then you can do a bunch of lucky trades and you can connect. Some amazing friendships were created during the last trip, so you could end up making a cool new friend. But overall, I just want to share this opportunity with you guys because I think it is really cool. It is going to be, I have a bit of info, I'll link below this, but November 9th to 15th, Kyoto and Osaka. Oh my God. It's not just Pokemon Go. This trip also includes a bunch of activities. As you can see here, we're going to be visiting castles, temples, exploring, eating, dinner. We're gonna have special dinners to go to, spotlight hour, raid hour. We're gonna play, like, any event that happens during that week we'll also be doing. And yeah, it's just gonna be an absolute blast. I also do want to mention November last year was Fukuoka Wild Area in-person event. So if they end up doing it in November again, this could be a good opportunity for you to hit the Fukuoka event, but then also join the group trip. So anyway, if you're interested in that, link below, check it out. And if you have any questions, DM me at Pokédaxi. Because honestly, I'm just really excited. The first one is a blast, and I'm excited to just meet more people and travel with more people. And it's honestly a trip that, I know it's a little scary to go to Japan, especially by yourself maybe, but everybody who came on the first trip said it was worth it. And honestly, I just had so much fun getting to know you guys. So anyway, consider it, let me know, and DM me if you have any questions, because I'll answer all those. Anyway, now, trading and friends and community are the last two sections we have to talk about here, because there are some unwritten rules in those that I think are the ones that are broken the most, and honestly probably the most important, I guess you could say, to follow. So let me go find a new spot. Let me go also, I wish I brought water during these YAP sessions because I talk so much. But yeah, let's talk about some more unwritten rules. Okay, I found a nice field of dandelions to sit in, so this is where we're gonna go. Very nice. Hopefully my butt doesn't get wet though. Okay, I guess it's not too bad. Okay, trading and friends. Here's our first unwritten rules of this section. Lucky friends, don't leave them hanging for weeks. Follow up with them or let them know. Can you hear that? I hope you can't hear that. There's a saw in the background. Anyway, this is a rule that this is a good one. So let me explain. Like, if you are lucky friends with a trainer and you know that they're in your local area and you could reach out to them, is it a rule that it is your responsibility to reach out to them? In my opinion, I would actually say no to this rule, because I think that, like, you know what, this is a really interesting one. I don't think this is an unwritten rule, a thing that, like, you have to do every single time. I think it is more of a thing that, do you want to do it? And this is how I see Lucky Friends. Like, I find that I'm usually the one who triggers and plans a lucky trade with a person because I really like lucky trades. I like the chance of getting a shundo, all that stuff. On the other hand, I'm sure there's a lot of people who just don't think it's worth it. They don't think it's worth messaging a random stranger, meeting up with them at a random time to do one trade. They don't think that's worth it, which is completely fine. So I do not think this is an unwritten rule. However, I do think it is a nice thing to do. But I guess it's if you want to. I think where the rule comes in here is it is your, I don't want to say like responsibility, but if somebody reaches out to you to do a lucky trade and is like clearly like intrigued to do a lucky trade and wants to make it happen, I think it is an unwritten rule that you can't just like ghost them and yeah, like it says here, don't leave them hanging for weeks, I guess you could say, or follow up with them. Like, I think like putting in an effort on your end, because this is a two-way street to make a lucky trade happen, is kind of something that you kind of have to do. Now, obviously you could talk about security concerns. I've heard a lot of people saying like, especially women being like, they don't want to do lucky trades because they don't want to meet up with random strangers in random areas. Completely fine. And if that's the reason why you don't message somebody for a lucky trade, that's fine. But if somebody is trying to reach out to you, trying to plan a lucky trade, trying to make it work, I think is a thing of respect and not just being annoying. And I guess the best way to say this is just like communicating clearly. If you really don't want to do a lucky trade with somebody and they really want to do it with you, be like straight up like, dude, I'm just not that interested in trading. And then they should be able to respect that and move along. But if you do want to do lucky trades, then go for it. I think a weird part, I guess, of this rule is like the fact that like some people you're lucky friends with, but they don't really like play anymore. So it's kind of like a weird thing where like, are they leaving you hanging because they don't play anymore, because they don't want to do a lucky trade with you? So, but anyway, I don't think that's an unwritten rule that you have to reach out. But I do think if somebody reaches out to you for a lucky trade, it is just a sign of respect, you could say, to answer them. Also, communicate with people about to hit friend bonuses. Do not snipe. This is a rule, and this is something that I see people getting frustrated about all the time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you're really, really close to hitting great friends not as much, but ultra friends and best friends, you're 1, 2, 3 days away, they will not send you a gift. I'm sure you've seen this. They will not send you a gift because they want you to send them a gift. They open the gift, and then you send them a gift, and they have complete control over when the gift gets opened and when the friendship bonus cracks. Because if you don't know, when you hit lucky friends, when you hit ultra friends and best friends, you get 100,000 or 50,000 XP. That's huge XP bonuses, which can be doubled on a lucky egg. Now, people are in the comments, or people are going to be like, Dax, why is this a big deal? You can now activate a lucky egg instantly when your friend bonus cracks. This is more the issue. The issue is when people activate their friend bonuses, they're activating them all at the same time off of one lucky egg. So let's say I have like 10 best friends about to crack. I'm going to use one lucky egg. I'm going to open all the gifts of all 10 best friends, and I'm going to get all that XP off of one lucky egg. The annoying thing is if somebody just hits the XP bonus at a random time on a random Tuesday, you then have to use a lucky egg to double that XP, but then you might not get as much value out of the lucky egg. I guess you could go out and try to hit some XM throws and get some XP out of it, but using one lucky egg on 10 friendship bonuses is a lot better than on one friendship bonus. So this is where I think communication, I think this is an unwritten rule. I do not think it is respectful at all to hold on to gifts and not even communicate with the other trainer when you're going to hit the friendship bonus. The better way to do it is to communicate through Discord, Campfire, whatever, and be like, hey, when is a good time for us to hit best friends, ultra friends, whatever? When should we be using our lucky egg to multiply that XP? That is the best way to do it. If you're a person who holds what's the best word, but like hijacks when you guys are going to hit it and doesn't tell the other person, just does it when it's best for you. I honestly don't really have a lot of respect for that. I think the best way to do that is to just go ahead and message the person. Now, I will say there are certain situations, again, I don't want to speak in absolutes here, because there are situations when, let's say that person doesn't play anymore, so they probably don't care. I guess you have to figure out how they don't play, like the fact that they don't play anymore, but like maybe that's a reason on why you should just do it whenever you want, because it doesn't matter when they get it, because they don't even play the game. Number two, if they don't even, like, if there's no way to reach out to them, like, it can be tough sometimes to reach out and connect with people because like they don't have a Discord, they don't have a Campfire or whatever, or you've been messaging them on Discord and Campfire and they're not answering. In those situations, I do understand why it might make sense for you to go ahead and crack it on your own, but overall, I would say if you can just at least try to communicate with the person before you hit the friendship bonus, it's just gonna be better and it's just gonna be more of a sign of respect. Now, moving on to community. I guess this is along the same lines of things, but these are more unwritten rules on how to behave when you're at a meetup or when you're playing with other trainers, because I think this is where most of the rules come in. Other games don't really have unwritten rules because the thing is they're solo games, so you can do whatever you want, but when there's other people involved, especially in an IRL game where there's gonna be real life interaction, you still wanna be a kind, caring, and respectful human, so you gotta make sure you follow certain rules. But which ones are they? Let's look into it and see if we agree. Number one, respect others people's grind space, especially on calm day. Especially, I can't speak. This is a rule, this is just a self-respect rule out of like all the time. If you are at a community ambassador meetup, at an event, do not be getting up in people's faces, all up in them, asking them 1,000 questions, or I guess you could, there's nothing wrong with asking them questions, but like getting really close to people. I've seen meetups where people get really uncomfortable because certain people are really like, I guess you could say like energetic, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you still want to respect people's personal space, especially people's grind space, if they're playing walk around during the event and not being too close to them. Now, this is a rule where it's like, okay, what does this mean? Like inevitably you're going to end up being close to people when you're playing the event. And yes, like you can be fine, but don't be like right up in somebody's shoulder or like, I don't know, touching people. Like if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Just be a respectful human and do not be too close to people at meetups and show respect. That I would agree with. Number two, help new players. Don't mock their teams or questions. This is a rule I completely agree with. Imagine I said completely disagree with. Mock the new trainers. No. Look, everybody was a new player at once, and anytime I go to meetups and I see people like flexing their shundos on new players, which I guess that isn't a big deal, but like mocking players for not knowing stuff. Oh, you don't know the quick catch technique? What, like you're bad, or you don't know how to do the circle lock technique? Like, we should be fostering a community where we encourage new players and we create an inviting space to learn and to get better at things. I think, again, I think it goes back to more of an issue of hardcore versus casual, where hardcore players, they already know everything, they know how they want to do things, but new players, they don't. They're learning, they're experiencing. So if you're a hardcore player and you're going to be participating in a local community, it is kind of your responsibility if a new player is dragging behind or is trying to learn something to help them. Be a helpful, like, again, I can't force anybody to be a helpful human, but the more people we teach Pokemon Go, the better they get, the overall better your meetup's gonna get, because everyone's gonna be more skilled, gonna be having more of a blast because they're gonna know what's going on and how to maximize on the events efficiently. So overall, yeah, help new players, 100% I agree. Do not mock, do not make fun of people for being new at Pokemon Go and not knowing certain techniques. Even, I would say, even if they've been playing Pokemon Go for a long time, even if they've been playing Pokemon Go for a good amount of time, never mock somebody for not knowing a certain tip or strategy. More just educate and then let them decide if they want to use it or not. Number three, if you're in a raid group or Discord, be active or at least responsive. I guess this kind of goes back to the other thing I mentioned. Now, this is an interesting point. This is what I'm going to say about this one. I had to think about this one for a second. I think that if you are an active player in Pokemon Go who plays Pokemon Go actively, very consistently, and you're in a Discord or whatever, I think it is your duty to be active. I would say it is your duty to be at least responsive. So if people ask you questions, if people reach out to you, then you need to respond. I don't think it is your duty to have to be in there and interacting with the community every day and hitting your questions quota or whatever you want to call it, like being in there and being like, you have to send 5 messages to be like that. I don't think is that important. But I do think that if people reach out to you, again, similar like before about lucky friends or about hitting friendship bonuses, you have to be responsive. Where I think this rule falters is if you're no longer an active player. Now, I guess out of respect, if you're no longer an active player, it does make sense for you to leave that group so that you're no longer really being there. But I don't really think that, like, if you end up deciding Pokemon Go, you want to quit it and you don't want to play it for yourself, and you don't want it to be, you're not enjoying the game at all, I don't think it is your responsibility to have to keep up with people who are reaching out to be lucky friends, because you're not an active player. It's not something you do. Now, again, It is respectful for you to leave that group, or even just like set your status as I don't play Pokemon Go anymore. Make your buddy name no longer active. But it is, again, it is a gray area. There's no set stone, especially if you plan on potentially coming back to Pokemon Go later and you don't know what you want to do with it. So overall, that's kind of a tough one. I don't think this is a rule that you really need to follow that hard. It is not an unwritten rule, but it is still something I guess you could do out of a sign of respect, in my opinion. Don't ghost people after coordinating a trade or a raid. 100% I agree with this one. Again, it goes back to like, put in your effort. If somebody is trying to coordinate a trade with you, it is a rule, or it is an unwritten rule that you should be putting in your effort to coordinate that trade. And I guess that goes for raids as well. We just actually got the RSVP system, so you can RSVP and say, I guess this actually kind of like works as a link, but like the RSVP system, you can say that you're going to be doing a raid at a certain time. If you RSVP for a raid and people are interested in doing the raid, other people are RSVPing as well, show up. Show up. You said you were going to be there. Be a man of your word. Be a woman of your word. Show up and go to that raid. And same thing goes with trades. Do not ghost people on trades. It's just an annoying thing to do. This is like, honestly, just like simple human manners. Like, it's like if you think about a date, like, you know, I never understood why people stand people up on dates. Like, I guess if the person is really, like, even then, like, I don't understand why people stand people up on dates. I think it's just better to be like, hey, I'm not coming. Like, it is a cowardly thing to do to just not show up to something and be completely silent about it. Communication is always the answer. And even if it's bad communication, even if it's like straight up, you know, I decided I don't want to go on a date with you, or, you know, I decided you're a little bit creepy and I don't really want to go on meet up with you and trade. Just be honest. I guess you don't have to be honest about the reason why, but just communicate with the person so you don't waste the other person's time. Don't be creepy at meetups. It's still a public space, not a dating simulator. This is something that we could get into, but I think this is interesting about Pokemon Go. It brings people together, but also, I guess, in weird ways, because I've heard of a lot of stories of people getting married over Pokemon Go, people coming into relationships. But I don't think that's all that Pokemon Go is. So it's kind of almost like, I guess you could say, dating in the workplace, where like everybody's there because they want to work. But then sometimes people might end up dating in the workplace and might end up like, you know, vibing out, I guess you could say. So like, this is a weird one. I fully agree, don't be creepy at meetups, but I wouldn't say it's an unwritten rule that you can't get into a relationship or, I guess, like vibe, you know, find a partner through Pokemon Go. So overall, I would say the unwritten rule is don't be creepy at meetups. It's not a dating simulator, but if you find something, and this is just such a hard one to talk about, just don't be creepy. I guess that's the best way to put it. Don't be creepy at meetups and make anyone uncomfortable. And if anybody sets their boundaries and says no, respect them. But this is, again, these are just like overall like human rules. Like as a human, you should be doing that. Don't do anything illegal. Represent your community well. Yes, 100% unwritten rule. When I say don't do anything illegal, especially I say, look, if you're part of a community, oh my God, you are representing them. You are, I don't want to say a face of them, but like you're part of that group and they've accepted you into that group. So you shouldn't go trespassing playing Pokemon Go. You shouldn't go playing Pokemon Go while driving. You shouldn't be doing things that or playing on your phone while driving. You shouldn't be doing things that are illegal because you are representing a community. And if you're part of that community and then you get in trouble for doing that thing illegal, it looks bad on your community. It affects your community negatively because it's like, oh, this Pokemon Go player who's part of so-and-so group did this thing that is illegal. And it's just not going to look good. So overall, I would agree that this is a rule. Don't do anything illegal. This is honestly just like, this is, again, a rule of life. Like, just don't go to jail, I guess you could say. Don't flex spoof Pokemon unless you're with other spoofers. Ooh, interesting one. I would say an unwritten rule is don't flex spoofed Pokemon. First of all, don't spoof. Don't cheat. You shouldn't cheat. But if for some reason you do cheat, don't flex your Pokemon, because the thing is, it just creates unrealistic expectations to the players there, because that Pokemon, you don't deserve, if you cheated for a Pokemon, you don't really deserve the Pokemon, because it's like you didn't do anything to get it. You just got it automatically because you downloaded some software. So I would 100% say don't flex spoofed Pokemon. to players who are legit, especially because I've heard stories of this, actually. I've heard stories of parents coming up to community leaders being like, hey, my child is like kind of sad because this one guy was going around showing all these Pokemon in his account and my child's account sucks. How does this guy have all this stuff? And it's because he's a cheater. And you have to explain to the parent that this guy who's flexing all this stuff is the cheater, but the kid doesn't know that. The kid doesn't know that this guy is cheating and that he doesn't deserve any of these Pokemon. So overall, in my opinion, that's what I would say about that. Don't flex or spoof Pokemon. Even if you're with other spoofers, do whatever you want. I don't think you should spoof. I'm actually might make a video on my thoughts on spoofing, because I do see, like, I don't want to say it's a good thing, but I understand, I guess, why some people do it. I guess, like, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but if you do want to see my thoughts on spoofing in depth, let me know in the comments and I can get into that. Finally, this is one that 100% I agree with. Don't play the game with the music on full volume. Man, I don't know how many times, I'm going to zoom this in, but I don't know how many times I haven't seen it that many times, but sometimes I see people walking around with their phone on full volume, sound effects and music in-game on max. This is honestly just a rule of, like, even if you're in public, don't play music out loud in public because you are being disruptive, I guess you could say. And I think the same thing follows here. Don't play music with full volume. Now, can you play Pokemon Go with, your sound up a little bit where it's like kind of just in your vicinity, in your area? I think that's fine. You're not really bothering anybody. Can you play Pokemon Go with just the sound effects on? Yes, 100%. But I just, like, if you're playing Pokemon Go where somebody is like 5 meters away, even like 3 meters away, 4 meters away, and they can fully hear your game volume and every single because the sound effects in this game are crazy. And the when you're throwing Pokeballs and you're missing them. Not saying you miss Pokeballs, but anyway. I just don't think you should play Pokemon Go with the music at full volume. I think this is a clear, unwritten rule. Have respect for other players around, and yeah, because people go to meetups, they want to chat, they want to mingle, they don't come to meetups to listen to your Pokemon Go sound effects. Overall, if I had it my way, there would be no sound effects and no music in Pokemon Go at all. But I guess I understand why there is. But just don't play it. Don't play it out loud. Anyway, guys, that is my thoughts, I guess you could say, on the unwritten rules of Pokemon Go. I am curious, what are your thoughts on these unwritten rules? Do you agree with them or do you not agree with them? Let me know in the comment section below, and watch the other 2 videos that are on screen right now if you want to watch more YAP sessions or just another video on the channel, because I'm sure you will enjoy those ones as well if you enjoyed this one. We will catch you guys all next week, most likely with another YAP session. I do plan on continuing the YAP sessions throughout GoFest season, so stay tuned for YAP sessions in the other countries. And yeah, that's kind of all I got. Catch you all in the next one. Fall for dips. Peace.